Hello guys, my name is Khalifa. Welcome back to my channel. Uh, Sorry guys for being away for a while. I had to change my computer and buy a new microphone. Maybe you can feel it on my voice. Uh, but I promise to be consistent about content uploading. Now we're gonna continue the Flask MySQL tutorial. I think we will start from scratch. Of course, if you don't have Python, make sure you have Python installed. Uh, I have Python already, Python-G. I think I have Python 3.9.6. Also, we'll need the Postman as well as XAMPP. I don't know if it's XAMPP or HAMP. I don't know. If you haven't, please head over to Google and download XAMPP and also download Postman. Okay, now we have everything we need. Make sure you start XAMPP over here, start Apache, and start MySQL. And if you want to go to MySQL, you have to go local host phpMyAdmin, and you have access to phpMyAdmin. Now let's go back to VS Code. Let's open a folder. I'm gonna go to source for my local and Python. As you can see, this is an empty folder. I'm gonna open it. Otherwise, we can right click and create new folder and open it, or from the terminal. You choose whatever you want. Oh, I choose file name or folder. Sorry, open folder and source repo and Flask tutorial. Okay, now we have this. We will need some requirement. I will put the link in the description and go over here to the link and download the requirement. That's the package we will need for our API, and create a file named requirements. Yes, requirements.txt, and enter and paste it and save. Now what you have to do is pip install -r requirements. Oh, sorry, I forget to add the extension requirements.txt. So pip install requirement.txt and wait for the packet to install. As you can see, I have already the module installed. Otherwise, you have to wait until the download is complete. Now let's create a file name up.py. Enter. For our application, we will need Flask. Of course, if you see in the requirement, we have Flask installed, Flask SQL Alchemy, MySQL, Python.env, and Marshmallow. I will explain every package why it's needed. And in app, we're gonna need Flask. From Flask, from Flask. Oh, sorry, from Flask, we're gonna import Flask. We also will need JSONify. We need request and also JSON. And we will from SQL Alchemy, from Flask SQL Alchemy, we're gonna import SQL Alchemy, and also from Flask _MySQL DB import MySQL from Flask marshmallow import marshmallow. Nice, that's what we need. And now let's create an instance of Flask. We're going to say app equal to Flask underscore underscore name underscore underscore. That's fine. And after this is done, we can run it. You can say if underscore underscore name equal to main, underscore underscore, let's say app dot run, and let's save. Now let's run our app and see over here, see what we have. And as you can see, this application is running on port 5000. Now let's define a route, because if you go over here in okay, as you can see, it's saying not found because no route has been defined over here. Let's define one route and see. So let's say decorate app dot route, and as you can see, with the route take a string. Let's say home as a route, and the method equal to a get method. Let's define a function def home. Let's return hello, welcome to my channel, please subscribe. By the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you will never miss out any upload. Now if you go over here to this route home, you see not found still, because if we define something or if we make some changes over here, we have to stop the application over here and start it again. And now if you go over here and go home, as you can see, hello, welcome to my channel, please subscribe. This is a bit tedious and it's a lot of time consuming, so the key is to turn debug on. Over here app.run, if you see in the cursor, you have host as a string, the port, debug as a boolean. So to turn on debug, you have just to say debug debug equals to true, and that's it. Now whenever you make some changes, you don't need to stop the application and restart it. It will be restarted automatically. Now you see debug is active. If I change it to, as you can see, now you still have hello, welcome. If I change it to, let's remove it and say please subscribe, as you can see, I don't need to stop the application. I have just to refresh and see please subscribe. That is the purpose of debug to true, and I found it very useful and more useful in development mode. Of course, you don't have to turn this in production. Okay, so now let's uh, continue. First, what you have to do is, you don't need this, I think, but for now, let's leave it as it is. Okay. First, what you have to do is to initially to create an uh, instance of SQL Alchemy. You're gonna say db equal to MySQL SQL SQL Alchemy. SQL Alchemy. It's not gonna take it. And also marshmallow. I'm gonna call it MA equal to marshmallow. Great. And now also we need MySQL. Of course, we're gonna say MySQL equal to MySQL. And MySQL, we will, as you can see, is gonna take up any or none. But because we want to use it with the application Flask, we have to pass it over here. Great. And now let's create a product table and model. Now let's define class. I'm gonna say class product. I'm gonna take this db.model, and we're gonna have an id equal to db.column column. This is gonna be, of course, db.integer, and it will be the primary key. Primary equal key, and key equal to true. I don't know why I'm not getting intellisense of the demo. Oh, I know. Okay, equal to true. Good. And also we will need the name of the product. db.column is going to be db.string. It's going to be a string, of course, the name of the product. And we can pass the length of the string. For now, let's define it 15 character, and nullable should be false, because you cannot have a product without a name. It doesn't make sense. So nullable equal to false. Good. What do we need else? We need the price equal to db.column. It's going to be db.flow, and nullable also going to be equal to false also. And at last, let's copy this. Here, instead of price, we're going to have category, and here the category also going to be a string, and the length will be 10. Nullable also will be set to false. Now this is done. We have to make def underscore init. Here we will say self, and we'll have name, we'll have price, and we'll have category. It's not none. Let's remove this, and we can say self dot name equal to name, self dot price equal to price, self dot category dot category equal to category. Good. Now this is done. How this is done, we can now uh, connect to our database. We're gonna say app.config. We're gonna .config, and I'm gonna say SQL alchemy underscore database URI. This is not URL but URI, so make sure you type it correctly. Gonna be it's gonna be MySQL, the username of database, the username for our case. If you have XAMPP by default, it has a root user without a password, so you can say root as a user. Normally we should have dot and password. Because you don't have password, we're gonna ignore it and say localhost, and after product. As you can see, the product, this database is not here yet, so I have to create it. Let's go over here, database, or just click over here and create new product and create. Great. As you can see, it's an empty table, but it's corrected. Now let's continue. Let's say def db dot init underscore app, and we pass it the app, which is the Flask app. Great. Now if I save, if we go over here to phpMyAdmin and click on product table, nothing is created, but we have created a table over here, model. But to make this created by Flask, you have to call a function called db.createAll from this, from SQL Alchemy, to say SQL Alchemy, hey, create a table with this model. So to do so, you have just over here to do with app dot context, app context, we're gonna call db, which is coming from SQL Alchemy, dot, as you can see, create all. This will tell Flask to create a table with this model. And now we can save. If we save, and now if we go to over here, oh, what's wrong? Localhost, sorry, I make a typo over here, it's localhost. Now let's save. As you can see, it's run. Okay, now let's go to phpMyAdmin, and as you can see, let's go over here and we have the table. As you can see, we have an ID, price, name, category. So this is the purpose of creating this class. This is a model of our table. You can of course create it from here by doing it, but I don't think it is a good practice, because you have to think about the deployment. You don't have to create a table manually. That's not a good practice. That's why we define here. You can of course, if you prefer, remove it and create it on phpMyAdmin, but it's not recommended. So now we have our database and our table. We can start doing some stuff. Now first we have to create add product. So let's remove this one. Let's name it product. it's gonna be a post method, not get, but post, because we're gonna sending some information into the database, and we're gonna name it. It's gonna be product, but also add. Now let's call it add product and save. And now to add a product, what do we need? As you can see over here, we have imported this JSON and request. We're going to use it over here. So first, what we have to do is to say underscore JSON equal to request dot JSON and now, so we're gonna say the name. I will explain a bit in a while, don't worry. So name equal to JSON of value name, and we're gonna have the same for price, control D and price, and also we're gonna have the same for category, of course. Let's say control D category. That's it. And now what we have to do is to create a variable. We're gonna say new product equal to product, and we pass it the price, the name, and the category. So the name will be equal to name, price is equal to price, and category equal to category. Oh, sorry, category. Great. After this is done, we have to add it to our database. We're going to say db.session.add, and we pass it one we want to add, which is our new product. So we're going to pass new product over here. Once we add it, we have to save the changes, which is .commit db.session.commit. Great. And now we have to return something. For example, let's say return JSONify. This is just a custom method. I'm gonna say message product. Let's say your product has been added. Now let's save, and let's go to Postman, to this route, and try to add. Here, if you're asking what is the name and what is this name in after JSON, this is what we're gonna send as a JSON in the JSON body. So you're gonna understand it in a while. So let's go to Postman and copy the URL. As you can see, it's over here, and copy it. But instead of home, we're gonna have product and also add as a route. So let's go to body. You're gonna go to route and JSON. And now what we'll have, we need a name. We're gonna call it phone, for example. And the price, the price is a float, so we don't need double quotes. So and you can also gonna need the category. Category gonna be electronic. That's fine. And for the last object over here, we don't need comma. So now it's a post method, because if you go over here, we have a post method on this route. Great. Now let's send and see what's happening. And it's saying your product has been added. Great. Now let's go to our database and see if we have something over here. And we have the product. We have, as you can see, you may be asking why we haven't sent an ID, because this ID, of course, is auto incremented as a primary key. So because it's a primary key for MySQL, this ID will be automatically generated and incremented. So we don't have to send it in the JSON body. You just need the name, the price, and the category. Great. Now let's add another one. Let's say choose, and let's say close, and add it. Let's go over here, refresh, and we have another product. That's great. We are doing good so far. So now we can add a product. We want also to list all products instead of going to the database and checking the product. Okay, so now what we have to do is to go to VS Code and create a route. We're going to say app.route. We're going to add a route. This route is going to be just product to list all products. The method going to be a get method, of course, and let's create a function def get product. Get product. Okay, to get product, what we have to do is we can look through all this product and send it as a JSON response, but that's not a good practice, and it's a lot of code. The best way to do it is to create a schema. So just over here, before MySQL, let's create a schema. Class product schema. You're gonna say MA, which is coming from marshmallow over here. Marshmallow dot schema, as you can see. And what do we need? We're gonna need class meta. And what do we have in the product? We have some field. That's just what we're gonna define over here. Fields and equal to, we're gonna have the ID, the name, price, at last category. And then now what we have to do is, let's say I'm gonna have product. This is gonna be lowercase product underscore schema equal to product schema, this one. So we're gonna have two. Let me just paste the code and explain to you. This product without S will be for when we need to return only one product, and this one will be with S when we need to return a lot of product. That's why we need to pass many equal to true to say that this schema will return a lot of products. So try to match every product you get from the database and return it. And now what we have to do is just to do now what we have to do is get product. We're gonna come over here and continue to say I'm gonna say product product equal to empty dictionary, and we're gonna say data equal to product dot query dot all to get all the products in our database. Now what you have to do is to say products. No, this one is this s is because we're gonna have many products. So products equal to the product schema dot dump. So it will dump every product from we get from the data from our query. And now what we need to do is just to return it. Let's return JSONify and products. That's it. That's it. Oh, here you have an empty dictionary. Here is to query to fetch all the products we have in our database, and now we have to dump it in our data into our dictionary and return it as a JSON. So JSON file will be responsible to get it a good looking field. Now let's start the application again. Sorry, over here I had a bad indentation. That's why the application stopped. Now let's go over here. So our path now, our route is now product. Let's go to product. Here we have a get request, not post, and send. Let's see what happened, and we have our product. That's amazing. That's good. And as you can see, it's very nice formatted because of JSONify. This one. That's why. And as you can see, but as you can see, it's a bit messy and a lot of time consuming to switch between VS Code and Postman. I like Postman, but sometimes I think switching from VS Code and Postman is time consuming. We're gonna have to introduce something new. We're gonna go to over here extension and install someone which is called Thunder Client. Thunder Client is here and click on install. Once you install it, you will find it over here and click on new request. Now we can close Postman. Let's copy this URL, and if you go to Thunder Client, you have like Postman, we have the URL to paste to, and it's gonna be a get request, of course. And let's send and see what we have, and we still have the product, nice and formatted. And I think we will continue for the rest of this tutorial. We will continue using Thunder Client instead of Postman. So everything will be inside VS Code for the code and calling our route. That's fine. And we can still add a product also. So we can do this, copy, because we can add a post request body. In body we're gonna have JSON and paste it over here. ID we don't need it. It's not for us to give it. And what t-shirt, let me say t-shirt and send, and the product has been added. Let's get the product, and we have free products. That's amazing. Now let's add some route. For example, we wanna let me say we wanna edit a product, of course. So to edit a product, we're gonna add a route app dot route. You're gonna have product and ID. It's gonna will be a query parameter, and the method will be a get method, of course. It's gonna be a get method, and let's define a function. Let's call it this ID will be to get a product by ID, to get a specific product. So we're gonna define a function called product by ID, product by ID, and we pass it the ID, which will be the query parameter, and we're gonna say product. Over here we're gonna define an empty dictionary, call it data equal to an empty dictionary, and we're gonna say product equal to product dot query, what we had in the before, but get. And here we do query to get all, but here we do query dot get, and to get a specific one by the ID, and that's what we're gonna pass over here. And now what we have to do is data equal to product, because over here we're going to return only one product. If it exists, we're going to return more than one product. We're going to use the product without s over here, which is coming from the schema. Here we have product with s because we return many products, and over here we have product without s because we return only one product. That's what we define over here, because that's why over here with s we have defined any true. Hope you understand it. I think now what you have to do is data product schema dot dump, and you pass the product. And now what you would have to do is to return the product. Return JSONify data, the product we get from our request. Now let's go to this route. It's product and ID. Let's get the product with ID 1 and see. Get we get the product. Let's get the product with 2. You get the product with 2. Let's get the product which doesn't exist. Maybe 7. As you can see, it's not an error, but maybe you have to make this more robust by telling the user that this product doesn't exist, or to tell him, hey, the product you're trying to fetch from the database doesn't exist. How we can achieve it? Or one thing also, if you pass a product instead of a number, you pass a string, what do we get? We still get nothing. But the user doesn't know why this error. It's empty. You have to talk to the user to know why he's not getting what he expects, of course. So now to do so, we have to do this. Let's define. Let's say if the string is str.is digit is a which exists in use Python to check. As you can see, it returns true if the string is a digit and false otherwise. So what do you want? We want to check the ID to check if it's a string or not. here equal to false. If it's false, we're gonna say to the user, hey, first we're gonna check if this is a string. If this is a string, we're gonna say to the user, hey, the ID of the product cannot be a string. So let's say return JSONify. Another way to format the string is to F and do the method. Let's say, oh sorry, it's inside the ID of the product cannot be a string. This is meaningful, so the user know exactly why he is not getting what he expected. And if this is the case, you're gonna have this. Otherwise, you're gonna have this. You're gonna have else. Oh, sorry, else. Yes. So, why it's not me? So, if the user pass a string, we're gonna say, hey, the ID is not cannot be a string. Otherwise, you're gonna query. Let's pass a string. Let's pass. Why you don't get it? Why? So I think we have something. What do we do? Did something wrong? I don't know why, but string by ID is digit. Okay, it's fine. Equal to false. Okay, return this. Maybe something is. We are not still getting there. The return. Don't know why, but something is. Did I save? Okay, I didn't save the changes. Sorry, my bad. And now if you send again, oh, okay, get the message is the product cannot be a string. And now the user will know that if I pass a string, oh, it's saying it's not a string, so I have to pass over here an integer. But still, over here, we still have no response because in our database, we have no product with an ID of 6. So we also have to make the code more robust by checking if this product exists. So let's say we can add it over here. Here, if we query the product, we can check if product is null. That means if the product is null, no value, we can return JSONify no product was found. And now else, we don't need to do else, it's the same. We can say else, but it's the same that leaving it as it is. If it doesn't found a product, this code will be executed. Otherwise, this two line will be executed. So now if we save, go over here, and let's say we want to find a product with 7. Hey, as you can see, no product was found, and that is amazing. Now we can move forward. Now what do we have to implement? I think we need to implement just to delete product. I think that's what we need to do now. I think is all that. I think we need to implement the delete method. So we have product, and also I want to let you know, for example, over here, if you don't have MySQL, sorry, that I mentioned it too late. But if you don't have MySQL, you can still use SQLite. We can just copy this code and let's comment this out, this line. Let's comment this, and instead of using MySQL, we can also use SQLite. So we can say SQLite use tree slash and the name of the database and .db. Be sure that you have the .db, otherwise it won't work. If you say click on save, you will see a folder named instance will be created with the name of our database. It will be db.database.db. Now we can still make the same query and the code will remain the same. We have just not we have just used you are just using now SQLite instead of MySQL. Let's add a product and see. Post add. The product has been added. Let's get it. As you can see, we have one product because our database is now SQLite instead of MySQL. We can switch back to MySQL and save. Now, if we make quick call the product, we have all this product. That's how you can switch between MySQL and SQLite. But of course, in development, we can use SQLite, and production, I don't recommend you using SQLite. Use MySQL instead. Okay, great. Now let's move forward. Delete route. I think that's all we need now. I'm gonna say after route, you're gonna have product. Oh, sorry, this is product, and we're gonna have delete. And because we want to delete by the ID, we're gonna add slash and the ID which you want to delete. Of course, it will be a method post. It's gonna be a post method. And now let's define a function. Delete product by ID. And we're gonna have the query parameter, which is the ID of the products we want to delete. So we're gonna say first, before deleting the product, we have to get the product. We're gonna say product which we want to delete equal to the product, which is our table dot query dot get, and we pass it the ID, which is the ID of our product. Now what we have to do is db.session.delete. And what do we want to delete? We want to delete just the product, and we're going to pass it over here. Now we have deleted the product. We have to make sure that we save the changes. db.session.commit. And let's return, for example, a JSONify response to say the user that, for example, let's say product has been deleted. Great. Now let's test and see if it works. Now we have all products. We have 1, 2, 3. Let's delete the product with the ID 3. We have the route delete and also the ID. and it's gonna be a post method, of course. And post, let's send. So what is the problem? I have an error somewhere else. I don't know. It's saying, oh, what do we have over here? Sorry. Oh, sorry. I have a typo over here. My bad. Okay, but I'm sure the what is the problem? So let's delete line. Delete line. What is the error? You have an error over here. Let me check what it's saying. It's saying line built non-map. Yes. Okay. Because we have this error because the one we're trying to delete doesn't exist in our database. That's why we add that error. Okay, as you can see, the product has been deleted. If you try to fetch the rest of the product, we get we have only one product. If you want to delete it, you can say delete to and send, and it has been deleted. Now our database is empty. And that's it for our Flask tutorial. If you want me to make a video on how to deploy this API on the cloud like DigitalOcean with Docker or something like that, please let me know. If you have any question, the comment section is for that. Please drop like. It's a lot of effort to make this video happen, and please subscribe. If you want to support me, the Patreon link is in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and catch you later.